Hey, Brian from Snake Bytes here. It's our 100th episode as well as the end of the year and the end of the decade. This is going to give us a chance to reflect back on what's happened. You're watching Snake Bytes. With reflecting back over the last 10 plus years and how the reptile industry has really evolved, I wanted to look at the history of ball pythons and some of the morphs that really got things started. Of course, I can't cover all of them, so I'm going to just cover the base morph. And this albino ball python is what really got it started. Bob Clark was the first person to produce an albino ball python way back in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's really what started the whole ball python craze. The next mutation ball python that really sparked interest, especially in the investment side of ball pythons, were piebald ball pythons produced by Peter Call. Those first animals were selling for as much as $25,000 a piece, and it really set the standard for ball pythons going forward. And the first codominant ball python that hit the market were really these pastel jungle ball pythons produced by Kevin McCurley over at Nerd. I remember buying my first one from him for $15,000. Couldn't believe I'd spend that much on a snake. Another mutation produced by Kevin over at Nerd were these spider web ball pythons, now just being called spider ball pythons. And man, when you cross these into things, they made all kinds of really cool mutations. And for a recessive morph that came out early on were these clown ball pythons. Actually, Tracy and Dave Barker down at VPI were the ones that proved it out, but the first ones that I got actually came out of Africa, and I paid about $2,500 for them, which seemed like a really good deal considering when Tracy and Dave proved them out, they were selling for $15,000 per baby. Another base recessive mutation that was proven pretty early on were axanthic ball pythons. There's actually 3 different strains of them: VPI, Snakekeeper, and Jolliffe line. It depends who you talk to, which ones you think are best. I think they're all really cool, and they make really cool combinations with other morphs. The cinnamon pastel ball python is a codominant morph proven by Greg Graziani down in Florida. What's really cool about these animals is the dominant or super form is a solid black or dark brown snake, which means it's going to be really cool when you get it into different color phases. Not to mention breeding even cinnamon pastels into stuff can make pewters and silver streaks and all kinds of neat stuff. Caramel albino ball pythons are a really cool recessive morph proven by Kevin McCurley out at Nerd. What's interesting about them is when you put them into stuff like pinstripes, spiders, and other mutations, they're making really cool combinations, but I still think the best is still to come. Mojave ball pythons are a really cool codominant mutation produced by Dan and Colette out at the Snakekeeper. What's really interesting about these guys is when you breed them together, you get a solid white snake with blue eyes. And there's other mutations like Ghost and Pastavis that are really cool too. Pinstripe ball pythons are one of our claims to fame. It's a dominant mutation, and we brought it in out of Benin, Africa in the late 90s, and we took a big chance because we paid a whole lot of money, and it proved out to be a really cool mutation. The fireball python is a cool codominant mutation that was originally produced by a breeder over in the UK named Eric Davies. The first people here in the States to produce them were Bob Clark and Mike Wilbanks. What's really cool about these guys is when you breed them together, you get the solid white, black-eyed leucistic ball python. This mutation is called a lesser platinum and is a codominant mutation produced by Ralph Davis at RDR Reptiles. The interesting story is when he brought the very first animal in from Africa, it was the middle of winter, and when it arrived, it almost was frozen solid and he almost lost his entire investment. More interestingly enough, there was actually a secondary mutation attached which he calls a daddy platty. Of course, I just wanted to cover the base mutations and give credit to the people that really started the ball python industry. The true magic has happened over the last 10 years with the combinations and all kinds of wild stuff that's hatching out. Like this animal that I just hatched out, I'll be honest, I'm not even sure what it is. It seems to have something to do with super stripe, although there was nothing in my super stripe line that it was bred to. It was a female pinstripe and a male that had nothing to do with that line. Again, I'm not sure what it is, but there's all kinds of cool stuff that's around the corner for all breeders of ball pythons.
Alright, in honor of our 100th episode, these 3 gentlemen right here are trying to join the Century Club, which means they're going to take a shot of Sprite each minute for the next 100 minutes. And since we don't advocate binge drinking, thus we have the soda pop. Are you guys ready? Mm-hmm. Let's drink. Come on! 12, let's go.
That was a good one.
Oh, nice.
I'm done.
Come on. This is 13, let's go.
I can't do that. I'm done.
Don't give up now in front of everybody. It's 35.
Follow.
All right, Cheese, you're the last man standing again in another competition. But the problem is we're only at 35 and need to get to 100 to be in the Century Club. Think you can make it?
Maybe.
All right, get your drink on. The last one. That's all that's standing in your way. Congratulations to Chewy, who's made it to the Century Club. On the other hand, Scar and George,
So here we are, 100 episodes. What's some of your favorite moments?
it's got to start with turning in pepper spray. I definitely enjoyed that.
How about when we pranked Scar and he almost cried on
Oh yeah,
film?
like a little baby.
It's just a joke,
Stalker!
You guys are dick. What about Chewy getting bitten nose?
How about the lemon in the Burmese python?
Oh yeah, what about him almost getting bitten in the nuts?
Oh, my balls!
How about the boa to the nipple?
That was pretty good. What about the green tree?
To the face!
That was good, dude.
Chewy, what do you think?
Can't even do that.
For this week's Comment of the Week on the Clone Wars episode, the question was, what would you do if you had your own clone? And Nuzumi9911 said,
Well, if I can make one clone, I can make two, right? Then have that clone make a copy of itself, and that copy repeat the process. Thus, my number of clones would grow exponentially, and I would soon have an army of 500,000 proxies. Then I would take over the world.
that's not a bad one. I wouldn't mind taking over the world myself. Until next time, you guys keep sending me creative comments. I'm going to feature you on a future episode.
All right, guys, it's Cal's question of the week. Now, you've heard some of our favorite moments. I want to know from the last 100 episodes what your favorite moment is specifically. Text or video comment below. Let me know.
So there it is, a wrap on the 100th show. We can't thank you guys enough for following us through each and every one of them. And here's to the next 100th show. From everyone here at Snake Bytes TV, we want to wish you a Happy New Year.